It's a concept that at the forefront is difficult, but it's really not. It's really not, and this is coming from my own personal place of anxiety. Maybe you'll see. Says the Gemara, we know how many walls does the sukkah need? We're finally up to part 2 of the Mishnah. We spent the first 5 lots dealing with the height of the sukkah. 20 amos tall, 10 tvachim tall. Now we get to part B of the Mishnah, which is the number of walls. And we all know how many walls does the sukkah need? 3 walls. We all know that. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, 2 dots. 10 lines. 12 lines. Tanu Rabbanan. Shtayim kilchas. What does it mean you need 3 walls? It says the Gemara. 2 kilchasan, 2 full walls, ushlishis. And the 3rd wall needs to be afilu tefach. Even 1 tefach on the 3rd wall is fine. Now, where is that 3rd tefach? That's as you see the pictures on your bottom of Gemara, as you see your pictures on the next Amud. That's going to be the next discussion for next week. But for right now, we need to know the Tanakama, the Rabbanan, the Halacha is 2 and a little bit. Rabbi Shimon Omer says, Rabbi Shimon, no, Shalosh Kilchasan, 3 full walls, urevius afilu tefach, and the 4th wall a tefach. So machlaikes Tanakama and Rav Shimon, 2 and a little bit, or 3. You can't get another finger up there. Yeah, something like that. You got the point. 3 and a little bit. Says more, what is this machlaikes? And that's going to be today's. Vavim and Beis is the machlaikes, Rav Shimon and the Chachamim, 2 and a little bit, 3 and a little bit, and where does it come from? Says the Gemara, b'maikam iflagi, Rabbanan, Savri, Yesh im limisoires. We'll translate in a moment. V'Rav Shimon Savar, Yesh im limikra. You can double it. Ravi, the Rabbanan hold Yesh im limisoires. Rav Shimon holds Yesh im limikra. Now, what does that mean? The Torah is written one way, and it's read another way. For example, the word sukkos is a plural word. Sukkos, multiple sukkos. You could spell the word sukkos in 2 ways. You could spell it samach, vav, chaf, vav, taf, plural. Or you could spell it samach, vav, chaf, taf, without the extra vav. And the nekudais will tell you to read it sukkos. So the machlokes is when we're learning from a pasuk, the way you actually lane in the Torah doesn't make a difference how it's written. It makes a difference how you say it. But when we learn things out of the Torah, do we focus on the way that it's written, the Messiah of how to write it, or do we focus on the way that you read it, the Mikra, the way that it's read? So let's say that again. Rabbanan Savri Yesh Aim L'Misaira. There's an aim, there's literally a mother, there's a directive of the Misaira, which is the way to write the psukim. Right means, is there that extra vav, or is there not that extra vav? Irregardless how you're going to actually say the word, but how does the Torah write it? That's the Chachamim. Rav Shimon Savar Yesh Aim L'Mikra. It's all about how do you read the pasuk, mikra. Now let's explain. Rabbanan Savri Yesh Aim L'Misaires. The way that it is written. How is it written? Says the Gemara. Basukos, basukos, basukos. If you go look at the psukim, the word basukos is there 3 times. Once it has a vav. Twice it doesn't have a vav. So when you look at the pasuk, what do you see? 1 plural, 2 singulars. 1 plural and 2 singulars equals how many? 4. A plural is 2, a singular is 1. So each mention of the word sukkah is teaching me another wall of the sukkah. So says the Rabbanan, how is it written? It's written with 1 time plural. Hare kan arba, 4. Because again, one is written with the vav, its plural is two. Two are written without the vav, its singular one. So that's four walls. Wait, the chamol two in a little bit. Dal chad legufei. Dal, subtract. Chad, one of the mentions of sukkos, legufei, for itself. What do you mean for itself? The pasuk had to write sukkos once because you got to know what the pasuk's talking about. The other two times are extra, but that one time it had to be there. So dal chad legufei. What are you left with? Three. Pashiluhu tlasa. You're left with three. Pashiluhu tlasa. You're left with three. So from three, shtayim kilchas, two are full. The asoi hilchasa, and the halacha leMoshe misinai comes. The gorata, goreya means to subtract, to lessen, to minimize. The gorata, and it minimizes lishlishes, the third wall. The ukma atefach, and makes it into a tefach. Givaldik. Let's say that one more time. Actually, let's read Rav Shimon, and then from the contrast, I think it should be perfectly clear. Rabbi Shimon Savar, yesh aim lemikra. The way that you read it, irregardless that the Torah wrote it only once with a vav, how do you read it? Says the Gemara, Basukos, basukos, basukos. And you see in the Gemara, they put in that vav because that's how you read it. You read it in the plural. How many is that? Three plurals is six. Hare kan sheish. Okay, we got six walls. 1 second. Dal, subtract. Chad kra ligufei. Get rid of one pasuk. 6 minus, not 1. Don't make that mistake. That's the critical mistake. Because according to Rav Shimon, each time the word sukkos is there is plural. So subtract one sukkos means subtract how much? 2. Dal chad kroli gufei. What are you left with? Hasheiluhu arba. You're left with 4. Okay, so you need 4 walls. Says Rav Shimon. Shalosh kehilchasan. 3 full walls. Asai hilchasa the halacha leMoshe misinai comes the garate, and it subtracts the revius va'okma atefach. Beautiful. I cannot say this was never clearer in my life. Could be it's about the 1000th time I just did this Gemara. We just chazered it in the other shir also. But let's say it again. I think it actually, I don't want to say impressed with myself, but I think after saying it 1,000 times, it finally came out clear once. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, you got to know that. Here we go. Machlokes is you open up the Bible and it says basukos. Why did it tell you what's going on here? So I'm going to say it in a different order to make it a little bit clearer. When you read the pasuk, actually you have the pasuk inside of you. Look at the pasuk. It's actually 2 psukim. Basukos teisha shivas yamim. You should dwell in sukkos for 7 days. Kol ezech b'Yisrael yeshu basukos. Every resident of Klal Yisrael is to dwell in sukkos. That's repetitive. Dwell in sukkos for 7 days. Every year should dwell in sukkos. Pasuk continues. Laman yedu, so you should know there is a ki. Basukos eshavtis b'nei Yisrael, that we dwelt in sukkos with 7 years shalchem. The pasuk did not have to say the word sukkos 3 times. We know the subject. Once we know the subject, the Torah could have written the word once, and the Torah would have been perfect. And it should have said you have to dwell in sukkos for 7 days because Hashem took us out and we dwelled in it. And it refers to the sukkos. So the fact that the Torah wrote sukkos 3 times, one is clearly extra. Detail A. Detail B is that when you look clearly at the psukim, you see a fascinating thing. The first 2 mentions don't have a vav. The third mention has a vav. So what's going on over here? But you read it, basukos, in the plural all 3 times. Say the Chachamim and Rav Shimon, we have an machlekes. When we learn the Torah, when we learn al dinim, do we go by the way that it's written in the Torah? It's written in a very peculiar manner. It's written 2 times without the vav and once with the vav. It's true, we read it the same way. But how is it written? It's very important. Every letter is important. Say the Chachamim, it goes by the way it's written. Go look how it's written. It's written 2 times singular, basuk, pas, or whatever the word would it be theoretically. We read it basukos, but the word itself is written 2 times singular and 1 time with a vav. So you have 4 mentions, say the Chachamim. But wait, you don't have 4, because one of them you need, because you have to know what the pasuk's talking about. You have 3. Great. And there's always going to be the last details. Allah Sinai subtracts 1, 2 in a little bit. That's the Chacham. Comes in Rav Shimon, say, no, you got it all wrong. You don't darshan the Torah the way that it's written. You darshan the Torah the way that you read it. How do you read it? You read it basukos each time. 3 times the word is mentioned, each time plural. 3 times 2 is 6 mentions of sukkos. One second, let's not forget. One time it had to say it. That one time is that, don't subtract 1. That's the big mistake. Why not? Because it's plural according to Rav Shimon. So when you subtract 2. You're left with 4. Halach Moshe bumps it down 1. 3 in a little bit. That's the machlekes yeshem lemikra yeshem. Now this machlekes, just to point out, of yeshem lemikra yeshem l'seiris is all over Shas. It's a classical machlekes, and you can understand why, because the Torah wrote in a very funny way. So do you go with the way you read it? You go with the way that it's written. That machlekes is all over Shas. So if you get it clear here, obviously, the first time I learned it, I did not get it clear because it took me a million times afterwards to get it clear in my brain. Yesh Abe L'Misairis. And the way to remember, I'll tell you the way I remember, is Misaira. You need a Misaira how to write things. The Misaira is 1 without a vav, 2 with a vav. Yeshim L'Mikra is how you read it. How do you read it? You read it however the Nekudas are. That's the Machlekes, Chachamim, and Rav Shimon. Want to go 1 drop further. Actually, you know what? I don't want to go one drop further. The Gemara is going to continue with a bunch of Ibayis Amos, which is permutations, really replaying what we did. You know, the truth is it's 9 o'clock, but do we have 3 more minutes or we're out of energy? You have energy? You have a meeting in 9? You have to get home. Yes, let's stop here. No, let's not push it. I like that. Let's push it. We'll pick it up from here. That's good.